On May 1st, 2014, hundreds of thousands around the world celebrated May Day, also known as International Labor Day, with marches, rallies and protests against austerity, official corruption, calling for higher pay and the greater protection of workers' rights. Actions took place in cities like London, England, Hong Kong, Jakarta, Indonesia, Washington, D.C., United States, Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, Phnom Penh, Cambodia, Seoul, South Korea, Baltimore, Maryland, Madrid, Spain. In Barcelona, the country's second largest city, thousands marched in protest about the cuts in public funding and against austerity.
Las políticas neoliberales y el consenso de Washington, el mismo que desde hace unos años se aplica a las poblaciones europeas, como lo refleja la crisis causada por la banca y el sector financiero.
There was violence across Turkey, including Istanbul and Ankara, as labor and anti-government demonstrators marked the day by defying a ban on occupying Taksim Square to protest against Prime Minister Tayyip Erdogan.
Well, I'm here because it's Labor Day, May 1st, and out of 364 days in the day, it's the only day that's for working class. Right now, everybody on the street is determined to go to Taksim.
They were reportedly met by tens of thousands of riot police, armed with tear gas and water cannons. Hundreds were injured and arrested in the crackdown. In the United States, actions took part from coast to coast, in cities from New York to Seattle, to protest corporate greed and call for a $15 minimum wage. Days after congressional action over increasing the federal minimum wage to $10.10 was blocked by a Republican filibuster in the Senate. Seattle mayor announced he reached a deal to gradually phase in a $15 minimum wage, which will be the highest in the country. Socialist Councilwoman Kshama Sawant, however, is leading a campaign to put it into effect almost immediately, saying every year of a phase-in means yet another year in poverty for a worker. In Seattle, authorities say they discovered threats to law enforcement, but it appears their concerns were overstated. The vast majority of demonstrators who were calling for immigrant rights and worker rights were peaceful, despite the massive show of force by police. At time of publishing, only one arrest had been reported. In Detroit, Michigan, protesters target what they say is the undemocratic emergency manager law, which imposes state control over the city's finance and bankruptcy negotiations. In Oregon, thousands march in rallies across the state to oppose budget cuts and to demand better protections for workers. Thousands took part in multiple marches, shutting down traffic across Chicago and Los Angeles, where the primary focus was human and immigrant rights, decrying the lack of legislative action on comprehensive immigration reform and the halt to the Obama administration's record 2 million deportations. Tens of thousands of workers marched for higher wages in South Africa, including at a rally led by President Jacob Zuma. Thousands rally across Morocco, where the AP reports the minimum wage will be increased by 10%. In eastern Ukraine, May Day demonstrations turned violent as pro-Russian protesters clashed with Ukrainian police and security forces. Tens of thousands of Russians marched in the Russian capital in the first official May Day celebration since 1991. Meanwhile, protesters rally in downtown Moscow, demanding LGBT rights, an end to tensions and military standoff with Ukraine. With Jason Nor, this is Oscar Leon.